So in the last week, we had a white supremacist attack a grocery store. We had assassination attempts with pipe bombs against past presidents and dozens of other, and a dozen others, rather, roughly a dozen total, I guess, in the interest of being precise and accurate. We had an anti-Semitic right-wing shooter kill more than 10 at a synagogue. Everything has been backwards in terms of the reactions. The Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristen Nielsen was at the border fear-mongering about unarmed children who are starving and walking through Mexico 1,000 miles away, pretending that that's actually the problem and actually the threat to national security in the United States. The reactions have been as crass and ignorant as they have been dangerous and depraved. Donald Trump was asked about the synagogue shooting, and he was asked about gun laws. And he said the problem isn't with the gun laws, it's that the synagogue didn't have more security.
You have any questions?
Mr. President, do you think you need to revisit gun laws? Earlier this year.
You talk up.
Gun laws, Mr. President.
Well, again, this has little to do with it. If you take a look, if they had protection inside, the results would have been far better. This is a dispute that will always exist, I suspect. But if they had some kind of a protection inside the temple, maybe it could have been a very much different situation.
This is sort of a victim blaming, oh, a rape took place, that's horrible, we need to do something to stop rapists from raping? No, the victim should have been armed and focusing on that side of the problem. Makes absolutely no sense. It's a distraction. It's disgusting. And then Trump went on to say that we should actually have more of the death penalty. We should have more death penalty.
A wacko. I think one thing we should do is we should stiffen up our laws in terms of the death penalty. When people do this, they should get the death penalty, and they shouldn't have to wait years and years. Now the lawyers will get involved, and everybody's going to get involved, and we'll be 10 years down the line. And I think they should stiffen up laws, and I think they should very much bring the death penalty into vogue.
This is truly one of the dumbest things to say, period. States with the death penalty don't have less violent crime anyway, but getting rid of appeals in order to execute people more quickly is not going to be a deterrent. And in fact, in my death penalty debate I did on another show last week or the week before, I talked about this, that once you have a sort of reasonable punishment, once the punishment is reasonable enough for an infraction, what really matters in terms of deterrence is how likely you are to get caught. The example is jaywalking. If there is a $10 fine if you get caught jaywalking and a $100 fine if you get caught jaywalking, going to the $100 fine doesn't actually seem to have a deterrent effect. What does is how likely are you to get a fine at all for jaywalking? If it's very likely you will be caught and fined for jaywalking, the $10 fine appears to be just as effective as the $100 fine. And likewise, when it comes to murder, if you believe that you are likely to be caught if you commit a murder, the difference between the potential for life in prison and the potential for the death penalty does not have the deterrent effect that defenders of the death penalty have. And of course, Trump has absolutely no idea. Then we get to Sean Hannity on Fox News. Hannity did condemn the MAGA bomber and then almost immediately started attacking the left, which is part of the rhetoric that is getting people to go out and actually do these things. Take a listen.
And like the president said, we want anybody responsible for this heinous bomb scare to be held responsible to the fullest extent of the law. If Sayoc is found guilty, he should go to prison for an extremely long period of time. These actions are deplorable, inexcusable. There is no room for political violence in this country.
Calling it a bomb scare, you will note, also makes it less serious. And then he just tears into the left, the same old stuff.
We solve our problems, like in 11 days, at the ballot box. And as I've said many times, this is a very serious story. But over the course of this week, what we have seen, what we have witnessed in the mainstream media and the left has been downright disgraceful. Before ever even knowing who was responsible for this heinous act, the media started playing the blame game, rushing to judgment as usual. They put facts last. They rushed to judgment, and they did anything and everything possible to link President Trump and anyone who supports him to this act of terrorism.
20 seconds between condemning the act and participating in the type of stuff that causes exactly more of these acts. Also, strangely, some people emailing me that Sean Hannity's face has gotten huge. I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but I did notice that. I don't know what's up with that. And then one other example, here's Kellyanne Conway pretending that the attack on the synagogue is anti-religiosity, not anti-Semitism. Take a look.
Keep reading them. And by the way, Ainsley, and I know you understand this very well, the anti-religiosity in this country, that it's somehow in vogue and funny to make fun of anybody of faith, to constantly be making fun of people who express religion, the late night comedians, the unfunny people on TV shows. It's always anti-religious. And remember, these people are gunned down in their place of worship.
Really dangerous, because they want you to believe that the synagogue attack is the same as the non-existent war on Christianity, when the big difference is that anti-Semitism is real. And what's really important is that all of these incidents we've been talking about are domestic terror. The right slammed Obama and the left for not using the term radical Islamic terror. I would use it. When it applies, I use it. I call ducks, ducks, not something else. Well, along the same lines, we have to call this right-wing domestic terrorism. It's inspired by ideologies that have been emboldened by the current president. Imagine if in the same 2-week span, we had ISIS attacking people in a grocery store in the United States, sending mail bombs to 12 Republicans, and killing 10 people in a mass shooting at a Christian church. Does anybody believe that the reactions would be, church should have been better protected, the political climate has nothing to do with it, the White House doesn't need to do anything, period? Does anyone believe that the reaction would be the same? If you do, you're either disingenuous or you're ignorant. And I want to hear from you on Twitter @DPakman, on the show's Twitter account, David Pakman Show. Quick break, back after this. I am thrilled to tell you that today's episode is sponsored in part by Blinkist.com/Pakman. Blinkist is a really unique service for your phone, tablet, and web browser, and it is incredibly useful for people like me who love books and learning but are busy. Blinkist takes the best and most popular nonfiction books and condenses them into 15-minute audiobooks. I'm sure that if you're like me, you have a very long list of books that you've been meaning to read. You only have so many hours in the day, and that's why Blinkist is so amazing. They take the most important information, the themes, the insights from each book, and they distill it into a 15-minute audiobook that you can listen to in one sitting. I've listened to a ton of books on Blinkist. Our audience can get a 7-day free trial by going to Blinkist.com/Pakman. If you're watching on YouTube, I put a link in the description. I have listened to Blinkist books about economics, about political science, about history, about science, so many interesting things. And after the free trial, if you like it, you can continue enjoying thousands of condensed audiobooks for about $5 a month. Go to Blinkist.com/Pakman. That's BLINKIST.com/PAKMAN.